Hey, what's going on YouTube? I just got home from the LA Fan Event for FFBE, and yeah, just literally just flew in today, and boy, are my arms tired. That's a dad joke for you. But wanted to take a quick but maybe thorough, take an opportunity to review some of the pictures about the experiences that I had there, and talk a little bit about what it was like for me to go. I've never been to one of these events, and so I wanted to kind of share about it. And there's more to this event than there was just being at like an event. The event itself was just a few hours, but other than that, there was lots of hanging out and visiting with people, meeting people, and even some experiences that you're gonna see here in just a minute. I'm not gonna go over like every slide. I feel like that has already been done really well by Sinzar, Barry, and Pika. So I'm not gonna go ahead and do that. There are a couple of things that I'm gonna touch on as they relate to like the pictures and the experiences that I'm gonna share with you. But in general, I'm gonna let them handle the nitty gritty of the slides, because they did a really great job, and I hope you go check that video out if you haven't already. In case you didn't catch that, I'm not doing a beige carpet review this month because of being there. So I was busy and traveling, and I just didn't have time to do it with everything else that was going on. So here we are. But you are going to get to see a little bit of my experience, and I'm going to start out by saying that not all of it is directly tied to the game. I want to just talk about like just kind of my experience of going, because I was thinking about it as I was going out there. I have not flown anywhere since 2019, which is kind of a long time for for the world that we live in to never fly somewhere. And on top of that, I got to go to places that I've never been before. So I've never been west of Colorado, and very seldom do I fly over that part of Colorado. And so as a result of that, or that part of the country, as a result of that, I got to see lots of really neat things up in the air. And I'm going to just share a couple of pictures that I took from the plane to show you how different that part of the country can be, just depending on where you are. And so it's really, if you'll indulge me for just a couple of minutes, I'm going to show you just a few pictures leading up to us getting into LA. So very first and foremost, this picture here, as I was sitting on the plane with no Wi-Fi and no access to my phone, I was reading, and I just happened to glance out the window, and I saw my first view of mountains, and my immediate thought was in Lord of the Rings when Bilbo says, "Mountains, Gandalf, I want to see mountains," and I saw mountains with snow on top of them in the middle of the summer, which I thought was really cool. So mountains, there you go. And then I also there's just so much of it. Like there's just like there's plains and mountains and all those little green and brown dots. Those are forests. Like it's really neat. Here was another string of mountains all together, and again, lots and lots of snow on top of it, and little lakes and stuff. Those little black things are lakes. But there's also desert, and so like these desert cliffs that are like carved out by like water and time. It's just really cool. I thought it was really neat. But on top of that, there's also like these big plateaus with like just forested areas, and it's just I just thought it was so diverse and really cool. So. Funny story about this one. As we were flying, there was this family behind me, and the mom of the family said, "Hey kids, look out the window. There's the Grand Canyon." I don't know if that's the Grand Canyon or not. I've never been there, but I took a picture of it because I thought it was just a cool looking like geological structure. If it's the Grand Canyon, let me know in the comments. I don't know, but I did take a few pictures of it. And again, just like these really neat like. It wasn't even that dark of a day, but like the difference between like the sky and how dark the sky was when you look like up, and then just the ground being so different. This was a really cool like lake that we flew over, and there's like a white dot kind of in the middle of it. That's a boat, and so like there were like boats and people like using this body of water, but it also like carved out this big bowl. I just thought it looked really cool. Again, just another, huge, the clouds just look really cool in this picture, I thought. But just the big differences in like the ground and the sky. This one, we're getting really close to LA. At this point, we had started our descent, and you can kind of see like there's this like mountain ridge there on the left-hand side, with snow on one side. But then as soon as you cross over the other side, you've got city, and like it's just super densely packed. And like not only is it densely packed, but like you've got this like wide open expanse with like nothing there. And then everything is like rigid and order and like river or streets and buildings and whatever. And it was just like all like really, really compact. And I've never seen anything quite like it. I've been to big cities before. I've been to like Chicago and New York. But never have I seen just that sudden drastic change just by going over a mountain range. It's like, here's the city. But there it was. It was really, really cool. And so that's the end of the nature pics. And I promise I'm going to talk about some normal stuff that you would hope to experience. But I wanted to share it because like maybe you've never been flying over this part of the U.S. before and just seen like how varied the topography can be. I was really moved by it and impressed by it. I'm a big dork, and so anytime I see like stuff like this, I like to take pictures of it. And I never really share them or go back and look at them, but like I just thought these were really, really cool shots from the plane, and wanted to share them with you. So thank you for indulging me. And now on to talking about the actual Fan Fest. So I got there, middle of the day, Saturday, and I was starving. All I had to eat on the plane was like those little Biscoff cookies that they give you, and I had been on a couple of planes, and so I was just starving. I was too excited to eat at 2 in the morning when I left, and I was starving. So my very first order of business was to meet up with some people that I knew were going to be there, and get some food. And we did the most touristy thing that you could do in LA, which was to get In-N-Out Burger. So we went and got In-N-Out Burger with the animal style fries, and as you can see there, we are, meeting and eating. Me and some folks that you probably recognize if you hang out in the Discord and stuff like that. But definitely had some delightful burgers and fries. There's us, standing in front of the In-N-Out. So we definitely had an enjoyable experience about that. We also got to learn about the difference between like something being a couple miles away versus being a 40-minute drive, because that's kind of the way it was. Our hotel was, only a couple miles away from the In-N-Out, but it was quite an experience to get there. So if you've never done city driving like that, it's a trip. We're glad we did not walk, I will say that, but it was worth it. The In-N-Out experience was definitely not an in and out experience. It took a long time to get our food, but it was a lot of fun and really, really good. We also later in the day joined up with some other folks, and we got some hot wings. And if you hang out in the Discord that I hang out in, we have a running joke about blue cheese or ranch. This is definitely blue cheese, and we got the hot wings hot, which were definitely not that hot, but we did enjoy them together. And so that was fun. This was at just a random restaurant that we could just kind of meet up in and gather. And we met up with some other folks, and so we had had a nice dinner outside and hung out there, and it was a lot of fun, just kind of chit-chatting, talking the game, talking other stuff that wasn't related to the game. But like that to me was one of the coolest parts about this event, was just getting to meet people in person that I've interacted with over the computer, over the phone, but never really met in person before. And so there you go, very, very cool to meet people and hang out. The next day, of course, was Sunday, and so we got up and ate breakfast and went to the event. And lo and behold, we found some people dressed up. We've got Esther there, and we've got someone dressed as a white mage there, and Sith Lord's in his hoodie. And so we got to see all of that, and we're just hanging out outside. And it was funny because they kept telling us the door is here. Here's where you're going in. No, actually, the door's over here. This is where you're going in, but you can't stand in the alley because traffic's gonna be coming and going. So stand over here. Oh, actually, we know the door's over here. They kept moving us around. We were the first ones there, our group, and so, but they kept moving us about. And we just wanted to stand in the shade and not get burnt. It's very sunny there, very sunny in California. But as we're standing there, we keep there was one person that I knew was going to go that I definitely wanted to meet, and definitely wanted to give a big hug to. And I've been talking about this for months. And that is Flip Method. And so I'm on the lookout. And I see someone in the horizon, who's kind of a tall dude. From where I'm standing, really far away, it looked like he had sideburns, and I'm like, I think that's Flip. As he got a little closer, it turned out to not be Flip. But I turned around to look the other direction, and I saw somebody, and I said, "Oh no, that's Flip." And there's this person. He's just standing there talking to somebody at the door, trying to figure out where he's supposed to go. And I just shouted out, "Flip, get over here!" And lo and behold, there he was. And I got my Flip Method hug, and I got my Flip Method picture, and we got to hang out and chit chat and visit in person in real life for the first time ever, and it was super, super cool. But he was not the only person that I met there. As we were getting into the event and sitting down, I happened to be the first person to walk in, which was kind of funny. But as we were sitting down and kind of like gathering like where I'm going to sit and where I'm going to put my bag and stuff like that, someone tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Hey man, I really appreciate your videos. Thanks so much." And that was a really neat experience to meet Kefka here, because like I've never been in public as like this version of myself. Like I've never, like, ever since starting this journey of like making videos and stuff on YouTube, I've never gone anywhere. I just kind of live in my house. And so it was really neat to go out in public and have somebody like be able to say, "Hey, I know who you are." Like it was just kind of a neat experience for me. I've never really had that before. So it was really cool to meet Kefka. So thank you for stopping and saying hello, telling me how much you appreciate what I do. So really appreciate that. You're a really cool dude. Just meeting people was really, really cool. They had a big poster that we could all sign in on. And so there's me. I was signing right next to Flip, and I put a little Zero Fox on the sign, and it was just really cool to get to like leave a little message. And lots of people left really cool messages that were, some of them were about the game, some of them were about things that really matter to them in relation to the game. And it was really, really neat just to see everybody kind of joining in. And on the game's social media, on FFBE's social media, they posted a big picture of everybody who was at the event with them holding the sign. That is what all that is just people signing in. And this was all before the event even started. They just had this big table out, and everyone was just kind of signing in and filling stuff out. Like I said, I'm not going to go over every slide, but I just thought that it was so cool to like be in their presence. I was on the very front row, kind of snuck this picture, and there they were. Everybody was there. They're talking to Kei Hirono there on stream, and it was just really neat to just like be right there in front of all the faces that you normally see, and it was just really cool. I've heard some people questioning like what the event space was like it looked like a warehouse. It was definitely nicer than a warehouse. Like it did have kind of like a urban industrial look to it, but like it was definitely a nice event space, I would say that. So like if you're like questioning like, oh, they couldn't have picked somewhere nicer, like no, it was a nicely well taken care of space. It was very cool. It just has like that urban industrial look to it. So yeah. And like I said, there was one that I'm not going to go over every slide and every piece of content that happened, but I did want to talk about this. This was so cool. They walked out, and they described, what we were about to see. And they talked about how like, Amano-san, had designed this at their request to kind of like commemorate it. And as soon as they pulled back the veil, like everybody that was sitting around me was like, "Oh, there's Yoshikiri, oh, there's Wilk, there's Lena, but who's that on the right?" And like people were like trying to decide like, is that just like a really cool like artistic rendering of like somebody that we have already seen before, but maybe we've just never seen them in this way, or is this a new person? And obviously now we know it's Richt. But like at the time, it was just really cool to like hear the energy of the room kind of like bubbling up, as people were trying to figure out like, what is this? Why is Elena carrying a shield? It was just really cool experience to see it live in person and to like be around other people as like we were all like wondering together, like what is going on here. And there you go. So of course, as the live stream went on, there were lots of moments like that. There were some moments that were really positive, like the very first moment of Rick's CG limit burst that popped up on the screen. Like people were just so amped and hyped about what it looked like, and then it stopped, and then Elena started, and people were even more hyped. It was so crazy to see like people like be more excited, and like hearing people around me like, "Oh, she's dual wielding. Oh, she's got this going on. Oh, is he magic or is he physical? Like what is going on?" And like people were like excited about it. It was just neat to hear it live happening. Now, I was in the very front row, so I could hear people like in rows behind me, getting excited about it and yelling, and it was just really, really cool. But there were also some sad moments. Like there was a palpable drop in energy when they announced that there was going to be discontinued support for Thai and Indonesian language support. Everyone just like, oh, like it was you could just feel the energy in the room drop, and you could also feel them trying to bring it back by saying, but we're going to do all this other stuff. And I get like that it takes resources to do anything. You know, whether you're talking about time, money, human resources, it takes resources to do anything. I hope that those players who rely on Thai and Indonesian language support don't leave the game. I hope that there's something that they can do. Like, I don't know. I know like players like Spidey speak English. You know, even if Indonesian is like where he, you know, spends most of his time. I know that he can speak English. I know he plays, you know, I believe on an English, he's got his settings set to English when I watch him do videos and stuff. So I just hope that other players can adapt, do the same, still function, kind of get by, and still play. Because I don't know how many players there are that are in that region, but you know, have to imagine there's a good number. And like I said, there was just, you could just feel the energy in the room drop when that announcement came. And they tried to hype, they tried to get other stuff going that was also good. And I think there are a lot of good things coming. I just that's a rough one for me. And I'm not even affected by it, and I feel bad for anybody who's affected by it negatively. So there's that. As the live stream portion ended, we got through all the slides and stuff. They gave us a little chance to take a break before we moved on to some other stuff. As part of that, you know, Tony did some interviews. I managed to get in line after I realized that like people were getting a chance to talk to Tony. I got in line. I managed to have an interview moment with Tony. It was just really, really cool to talk with him. I actually talked to him several times during the event. Because I was sitting right in the front row, like where people were coming and going, there's that little doorway you can see behind me under the exit sign. People were kind of coming and going right there. I actually managed to talk to Tony a couple of times in that little doorway, just like, you know, tell him what I thought about how he had developed as, you know, as a presence on the team, and just like kind of getting some feedback. It was just really, really cool to get a chance to talk with him, and especially, you know, in depth talking about like, you know, my specific interview portion, talking about the you know, what I liked and where I was from, and, you know, how long I've been around. It was just neat to interact with Tony in that way. And so very, very cool. Also, he did sign he signed my notebook that I brought with me, so that was pretty cool. I'll show you a picture of that in a little bit. But Tony was not the only person from the team that I got to meet. You know, I also there was like well, I'll get to some others next, but after the kind of like mini interview segment, they pulled us all back into the room after we had a chance to like take a bathroom break and check out the art room and stuff like that, which I'll show you some pictures of the art room in just a second too. And at this point the stream was over, but they still had some stuff going on that they were doing for the people who were live in the room. And so they basically, everybody, when you got in, you got a ticket with a number on it, and they were going to be doing a lottery. So they pulled out, they brought out a cart full of like rainbow hoodies and Neovision hoodies and like some just other like swag bags and stuff like that. And they said they were going to be pulling, you know, a handful of those, and they went through them, and actually they gave some like predetermined prizes to people who were 7 and people who were like number 7 and number 77, because, you know, obviously it's the 7th anniversary, so they were like automatically choosing those. But they did draw a handful of other folks, and we got to the end of that, and the energy was really high in the room. And Hiroki said, but I think we should do one more. And they reached in, at that point he took off his own hoodie, and held it up, and he was like, okay, whoever's ticket, you know, here we go. I'm just gonna let this video speak for itself.
I can't wash it either now.
So there's that. When they called my number, I actually shouted pretty loud, because I was really totally blown away that I would not only get called at all, but that I would get that specific prize. I've got it right here, actually. And I will say that it's a little small, a little snug, a little trim. But here it is, you know, and sure enough, you know, got his signature there on it. He wrote, you know, wrote a nice little message. It's a little snug. I'll probably not wear it a whole lot. I can zip it up, but it, like I said, it sucks me in. Even though it's an extra large, this is maybe like, you know, not US sizing, but still really, really cool. I can't believe I've got the producer's sweatshirt off his back, which is just really, really incredible. So all the next pictures that you'll see, I'm wearing it, and didn't want to spoil it by showing you the pictures first. So there's that, and here he and I are together. There are after the lottery portion was done, and then there's like a photo segment that we did in the other room. We could all come back and like meet and greet, more with a little more time for like pictures and signatures and, you know, things like that. And I told him my catchphrase. I said, you know, that this is my favorite single player game that I play with other people, and he gave me a big smile on that one. So that was really cool. Yeah, here's a close-up of that signature on the jacket too. Now, like I said, Tony and Hiroki were not the only people that I met. You know, if you watch the stream, you know that Justin was there too. I got to meet Justin and just have a little chit chat about, like, you know, leading up to this event and you know, people coming and going, and just kind of his take on, you know, how an event like this was good for the community, and it was just really neat to kind of chit chat with him. And visit. Like I said, just getting to know and getting to meet anybody who was there and part of the team was just really a really cool experience, and honestly my favorite part, in addition to people, just like other players that I got to meet as well. In the art room, they were doing an AR like photo experience. So like you walked up to this little booth and you scanned it, and you could pick like who you wanted to take your picture with. And so I actually initially chose Runda, but because I'm really tall and Runda is tiny, it was really hard to get both of us in this shot at the same time with the AR system. It was kind of weird. So I switched out for Elena, who's also tall, and got my picture with Elena. So that was pretty cool. You could have also chosen Tyvis. You could have also chosen, I think you could choose like Rain and Lastwell, and I can't remember who else was there. I know there was a handful, but I chose Elena just because I think the new unit looks really, really cool, and I'm excited about it. So there's that. As we were kind of walking around in the photo room, there were like art displays of all the like design concept art and a bunch of like Amano style art. Actually, it probably is Amano art of like a bunch of FFBE scenes. Like there was a Dark Rain picture, and just a whole bunch of them. A whole bunch of them were all over the room. So it was really, really cool. And there were like tables, and they wanted us to like kind of meet at the tables, and like we had these like postcards that we got in our gift bags. They wanted us to kind of trade, like, do you want this person? Do you want this one? And so as we were kind of visiting and stuff like that, another person approached me, and he said, I was your 200th follower on Twitch. And I remember that day. I remember we were sitting at 199 for such a long time, and he said, you know, I was just sitting there. I realized you were at 199, and I hit the button, and there it was. And so, Big Brother D, I appreciate you coming by and not only being the 200th follower, that's the 2 right there. Not only being the 200th follower, but also just being a part of of my community, and whether we're talking about on Twitch or on YouTube, and also for you coming to say hello to me and you know, making my part of my day special. You can kind of see some of the artwork in the back there. There's Laswell sitting on a throne there. It's pretty cool. So yeah, the art room was just really, really neat, and lots of people just kind of gathering and talking about the game. I met a bunch of people who were in like the global Facebook group. Met a bunch of people just in general who I'd never met before, interacted with. It was a really neat experience. Here's a handful of us, you know, in our rainbow and Neovision jackets. You know, like I said, Sith Lord already had his. The gal in the white maid's dress, she got she was one of the numbers that was drawn. Guy in the rainbow jacket there, Dave, he got one. His extra large seems a lot bigger than my extra large. I don't know if there's the same sizing rules, but there we go. And it was just, you know, a really neat experience just to kind of, you know, all of us going to be, you know, gathered in the room together and just is really hype, really energetic. Here's kind of an overall spread of like all the stuff, you know, so kind of hard to see it. Here's the water bottle. It's got a Moogle on it. It's really cool. The t-shirt that we got, the black one there, is the same one that they were all wearing at the event. You can kind of see the postcards I was talking about. Mine are Roberta, Medina, Vilk, and then the Rain and Fina card. You can see Tony's signature on my notepad. We got a Fina plushie for doing the AR contest, and then just like a bag that it all kind of came in. It was just a really, you know, nice little collection of stuff that they gave to us. And that's pretty much it. Other than that, it was a lot of hanging out with people, a lot of visiting and, you know, chit-chatting. But, you know, eventually we had to go because the War of the Visions event was starting right after ours. And I wasn't going to that one. I was just going to the FFBE one. But I heard that the War of the Visions one was really fun too. But theirs did not include a live stream. So, you know, ours is special in that way. But there you go. So hopefully that is interesting to hear about, and seeing the pictures was fun for you. If I had to say like what my favorite parts were, I would say by and large just meeting people, just like being able to be, I don't want to say like it's a big deal to be recognized, but being able to just having that experience of meeting somebody and like knowing that something that I did matter to them, like, makes me feel good. But also just like, you know, seeing people like show up with their friends, show up and meet people that they haven't seen in a while. You know, Hiroki actually said, you know, I recognize some of you who have been here before. And it's cool that like, that they have that. I've never been to one of these events. I've never had a chance to go for one reason or another, usually because, you know, they're really far away and I have a life that, you know, kind of keeps me where I am, which is why I don't really leave the house or fly anywhere. But there you go. Like, it's just, it was really neat to be around other people who do this game, who care about this game, who care about the community that comes with this game, who cares about, you know, cares about things like Thai and Indonesian language support going away, and cares about things like, you know, here's all the rewards that we're gonna get for sticking around for 7 years. Who care about like, you know, seeing how Clash of Wills changes, and who care about like seeing how units are designed, and who care about like hearing, you know, the names of the people who designed the artwork, and it's just a really cool experience. So if you ever get a chance to try and go to something like this, if they do something like this again, I highly recommend. I'm currently planning on starting a line item in my budget that helps me start saving for next time, because I definitely want to go. You know, especially if they do a bigger one. This was, I would say, you know, probably a nice, easy way to like try again to do a fan event after something that was so big like the 2018 Fan Festa event, which I understand was pretty wild. But this was, you know, it was small, but it still felt like there were a lot of people there, and a lot of people who knew each other and could interact with each other, and it was just a really cool experience. And I would definitely say, if you get a chance to go, try and go. But that's all I've really got for right this moment. And I just want to thank everybody who, you know, played a part in me going. Whether you were one of the folks who donated to the GoFundMe to try and send me, or somebody who helped answer questions about how to use Uber, or somebody who, you know, bought a dinner at some point. Yeah, I appreciate everything that everyone did as part of this experience. And so thank you all for that. And hopefully you enjoyed hearing some of my thoughts on it and seeing my pictures of this beautiful nature. Like, look at that. It's just incredible. We're not going to go through them all, but you know, it was just a really cool experience. All in all, from start to finish. Yeah. Anyways, that's all I got for right now. You guys be good to each other. Take care. Definitely go check out Sinzar's video about the actual live stream itself if you're looking for more information about that. And we'll be, you know, getting into the next one tomorrow. Gosh, news comes out in like 4 hours. What am I going to do? Okay, you guys be good to each other. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video.